Okay, ignore my filthy altar. That's not why we're here. We are here because finally, someone has written a book for us, for the witchpreneurs, for the boss witches, for the corporate crystal girlies. Is it just me, or does it seem like every time somebody writes a fiction book about a witch, it's always the same story? The sort of like frumpy, ugly witch that nobody likes or can't get along with anybody. And then suddenly she discovers that she comes from a long line of witches and she has all of these powers. And wow, everything just starts to change and blah, 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 blah. Boring. Finally, there is a book about a witch who works in finance, who lives a life that looks a lot like the rest of us, but who happens to also practice magic. Shout out to MJ Etkin for not only writing but publishing a book that features a witch that we can relate to, and that tells the story of Miriam Bloom, a witch with a prestigious job in finance in New York City who happens to strike up a romance with her high school friend Nelson, who's also a bit of a witch himself. And MJ, if this book is anything like the quality of this promo box, we are in for a treat. This is the type of thing I would expect to get from one of the major publishers. To know that you did this yourself, your own time, energy, and resources into creating this package, unbelievable attention to detail. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. And for those of you who don't know, I tape live behind the scenes sessions of my podcast, and you can find them all on my YouTube channel. And if you're more of a podcast witch, then go ahead and look up the Better Witch podcast on Spotify, Apple, and all the major podcast platforms. This episode won't be available until late in the spring, but there are 3 seasons of the show for you to binge and catch up on. I can't wait to get into this. Thanks again, MJ. Blessed be.